Success is not just about an individual's attempt and endeavor to excel. In a fast-changing world where pressures are many and challenges even more, you have to succeed despite many odds. So how does one navigate through all of this?
You can't escape the inevitability of choosing. You choose everything that you do. Whether those choices make you win or not is the question. Now, if you look at the tough environment around you, the folks who made it win amongst the clients that we worked with in the year 2009 when all the hell broke loose, there were people who reported dismal figures, and then you notice a few who really bucked the trend. One of our clients actually grew 23%. It's a large company. I'm not talking about a small set of 22,000 people. They grew 23%. And a lot of it had to do with the choices that they made. Now, to understand how we make these choices, let's just understand very quickly what conditioning does to us and what it doesn't do to us. The conditioning tells us this is a given response to a given stimulus and it worked. The next time the same stimulus comes, the same conditioning gives you the results. But like you just said, when the environment continuously shifts, the same conditioning may not have all the answers. So, the need to retool, to rewire, to really rethink your response to the stimulus. And what we have noticed is, before we get into skilling people with doing this, you have to dive deep and see what are the role that belief systems are playing in this. And what belief systems really affect is an attitude. And what research has found is, looking for possibilities when the world around you says there is only trouble, before it is a skill, it is an attitude. Let me give you an example. The year was 1954 and there was enough research in history to show that a human being cannot run a mile in less than 4 minutes. The man was Roger Bannister, studied at Oxford, medical student. He read that research. The research says the way your heart pumps blood, the way your lungs pump in air, the way your muscles are structured, it's impossible for a human body to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. But somewhere before the skill, he said, how can you put a limit on a creation like this? And he became the first man in history to break the 4-minute barrier. It was called the barrier because for thousands of years, it was believed that nobody could break it. So the skill was the same, it was running, but it was the attitude that really made it different. So how some people actually choose to break out of conditioning. Let's look at our environment.
Sure.
In 1977, when the emergency was lifted and Morarji Desai came into power, a rumor swept the country called, he's from Gujarat, there's a possibility of prohibition in the country. Anybody in the liquor business would have panicked, and they did, and it's documented to show that they sold at whatever price they could. Same Prime Minister, same country, same environment, same rumor, same stimulus. One man chose to respond differently. Not only did he buy liquor shares wherever he could, he borrowed money to buy whatever he could. And history goes on to show that Vitthal Mallya, before and after, when the government fell, he had almost quadrupled his market share. The stimulus was the same. Everybody said, liquor business, no go. And here was a man who said, hang on, there's an attitude called, can I look for a possibility, because our brain is designed to look for limitations.
Actually, we see this playing out almost every day in the corporate sector, don't we, Tarun? There's so many people I've come across, exceptional people, great star performers, but as they go into middle and senior management, they seem to miss the spark, you know, which got them there. They seem confused because suddenly they're not the master of their own fate.
That's
Others
right.
are. It becomes a challenge to try and figure out the system. Is that something you come across of?
All the time. So, significant challenges that people face. Early on in their career, one of the biggest hurdles they face is individual contributor to team contributor. The second challenge they face is the matrix organization. I don't have direct authority over somebody. How do I exert influence in people who don't report to me? The next big one that we see is how do I get concerned with producing result and get concerned with keeping people with me? Usually people are very good at one of the two. People are very good at either this or this, and the biggest challenge becomes how to start anding. How do I do this and that and that? At certain levels, organizations have cracked the formula as a conscious choice. But the trick is for managers, leaders to crack it for themselves.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're going to help our viewers do in this series, aren't we? Where we are actually looking at the steps to a position where you can say that I choose to win. And what are these steps? The first one is, of course, self-awareness.
The first one is self-awareness. And there are a series of steps. I wish you had an easy answer to this, but I am going to take you through a couple of things that have been studied, researched, and form the ingredients of what it really takes to win. Let's go back for a moment to the brain just to see what happens, right? They did this very interesting experiment in 1972. There was a man called Walter Mischel, and he did this experiment in Stanford. They took 4-year-olds and they got them into a room, and in front of them was a marshmallow or a candy. And it's called the marshmallow experiment for what it revealed. The kids were told, you could pick this up right now and have the marshmallow, or you could wait till the instructor came back after running an errand after 20 odd minutes. If you waited, you would get 2. And they studied the responses. And of course, there were some kids who picked up the marshmallow, ate it straight away. Some kids just waited for the instructor to leave the room and then picked it up. And some kids waited for the second one. And needless to say that the proportion who waited to get the second marshmallow was very, very low. What's interesting was they studied these guys, the same group, because the researchers' daughters happened to be friends with some of them, and they said, let's see how these guys are doing. They studied them when they graduated from high school. Interestingly, they found a correlation between the folks who delayed the impulsiveness to pick up the marshmallow, who waited for the second one. On an average, their SAT scores were 210 points higher than those who picked it up quickly. They further studied these guys in the late 20s when they were into their career, and they found significant differences in success, in emotional well-being, in how well they managed their relationships, how peaceful they were with themselves. The folks who were able to stifle that impulsiveness to act now to get the immediate result, over the long term performed significantly better.
Behavioral scientists give a whole new meaning to the age-old adage, patience pays. So what are the building blocks of being able to choose to win? Next week we talk of step 1, how understanding yourself, your strengths and limitations could be the first step towards success.
If you don't know what you stand for, you don't know what to fight for and what to let go. If you don't stand for anything, you will fall for anything.